Hello crafty friends, and welcome to the penultimate Step Up Your Stenciling video. Today we're going to be combining a few techniques on one card, and the first technique we're going to do is heat embossing through a stencil. So I've got a piece of smooth white card here and I've covered it in heat resistant double-sided adhesive and set that to one side. And then I've taken a heart stencil and covered one side of it in sticky embossing ink. I've then removed the release paper from the card and flipped the stencil over, pressing the embossing ink side down onto the sticky adhesive. This just helps when you want to remove the stencil later. The stencil won't stick quite so strongly to the double-sided adhesive if it's covered in sticky embossing ink. So now I've got heart-shaped sticky adhesive exposed through the stencil, and I've sprinkled on some pink embossing powder, brushed off the excess and then removed the stencil. So my pink embossing powder has formed lovely little hearts on my adhesive. I then use my heat tool to melt the embossing powder. The trick is, even with heat resistant double-sided adhesive, not to hold the heat tool in one place for too long. But once that had cooled and set, I sprinkled over some glitter. That's our second technique, adding glitter on the area covered by the stencil. Of course, you could do it all glitter, pink glitter hearts surrounded by another glitter, or you could do it all heat embossed hearts surrounded by another embossing powder. To get my glitter to stick really well on that adhesive, I burnished it down with one of the bits of release paper that I pulled off the adhesive, and I brushed off any excess. And then I took some heart dies and cut 3 hearts from my panel. I also trimmed the panel using my guillotine to neaten up the edges. And then I took 2 card blanks, one for the heart shapes and one for the outline. I worked on the heart die cut one first, and I took a lovely dashed stencil and I placed it over the front of my card bank and used Seedless Preserve's Distress Oxide to just add something in the background, something gentle for the hearts to sit on. I chose Seedless Preserves because it was a kind of more saturated, darker, slightly richer version of the embossing powder that I used for the little hearts. Once I was satisfied with my blending, I put the outline on the card to act as a jig. I added foam tape to the back of the hearts and then placed them back in the jig just to help me get them positioned in the right place. I then removed the outline and added a little bit more inking where I felt it was necessary. After that, I worked on the outline card. So I placed the panel on the card and made a mark on the card blank to show me where the edges of the panel would be. And this just allowed me to position some washi tape around the edge because I wanted to do that stenciling blending in the background, but I didn't want it to stick out the side of the panel. I only wanted it to be visible through the hearts. So by masking off the borders, it meant I could go for broke on my stenciling and not worry about it getting on the edges of the card. So that's what I did. I just covered the whole of the exposed area of the card blank with the Seedless Preserves through the dashed stencil. I brought in the panel to check that I got enough stenciling down. And when I was happy, I removed the washi tape, put foam tape on the back of my panel and popped it on the front of the card. For my greeting, I decided to put sentiments on each of the hearts, so I dug out one of my happy birthday stamp and die sets, and I stamped happy birthday in a scripty font, and then you are one of my favourite people to celebrate in a typewritery font, and enjoy your special day again in a typewriter font. And I stamped these in VersaFine Onyx black ink and die cut them out with their coordinating dies. And the order I put them in allows the recipient to read them in order. You'd start at the top left, then you'd go down to the second one, and then down to the bottom one. And each sentiment makes sense on its own, but it works as a complete sentiment as well. And to bring in extra shimmer and shine, and a bit more dimension, I scattered around some Nuvo glitter drops in White Blizzard because it's very similar to the glitter that I used on the background. So that's another couple of cards made, some more stenciling techniques combined. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's given you some ideas. I hope you're encouraged to try these techniques for yourself if you haven't already. If you are, please do let me know in the comments and leave a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more from me, do subscribe and ring the notification bell. And I hope to see you back here in a couple of days for the last video in Step Up Your Stenciling. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.